My name is Ian Martin. I run for OpenText. I run the team here in Western Canada. And welcome to the presentation, the webinar today. One of the conversations, one of the asks that oft happen with our customers and folks is, who've been long-term customers. How do we enhance? How do we improve? How do we deal with the pace of change and the ever-increasing amount of data and content that is coming into our organization? And the folks from Answer Modules, I think, have a fantastic solution and a great conversation in terms of how do we enable, drive, meet those challenges, and thought it would be a fantastic conversation to have and presentation to make. So I'm going to turn the floor over to the Answer Module teams, but look forward to the presentation, and we can go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Hello, everyone. I'm Paulo. I take care of the sales and alliances here at Answer Modules. And on the line with me is also Patrick. He is one of the co-founders and acting as a CEO and CTO. So as Ian mentioned, essentially what will be the topic of today's conversation and demo is essentially how to efficiently digitalize the business processes on the existing CSP, so CONSUITE and XNDCM platform. Now, before we go into that, let me just leave this disclaimer up just for a few seconds, and then we'll dive right into the conversation. I think that should be enough. So just to present ourselves, not myself and Patrick, but us as an organization, essentially who is Answer Modules. So for those that don't know us, we are a product-oriented company, and we are focused on delivering innovative integrated solutions for CONSUITE and XNDCM. For the rest of the presentation, I'm just going to abbreviate CONSUITE and XNDCM as CSP, just for the sake of time. Now, our community base is a little bit over 100 organizations, and this is spread out all over the world throughout different industries, and also including some organizations from the global and Fortune 500 as well. Obviously, we're an OpenText partner. We are what is classified as a solution extension partner. So this also means that we are indeed on the OT price list. And some, achievements or recognitions obtained by Answer Modules is we were the first third-party certified for the OT Cloud. We achieved platinum status within the Solex community. But more importantly, we're awarded the Solution Extension Partner of the Year in 2020. And the previous year, we were actually awarded the Innovation Award for the EMEA region. So this just give you an idea, what our background is, who we are. In terms of the industries that we serve, so I mentioned that we are serving a very wide range, very cross-industry customer base. And again, these are the industries that we serve. I think the most, common thing about all the organizations and the various industries that we have is that they are satisfied customers, and we do have customer references in most of these industries if you'd like to learn more. So essentially, why are we here today? I always like to, after introducing ourselves, I always like to start on this note. So what is the key takeaways? What are the objectives for this session? So we have three of them for today. First, we want to touch upon what digital acceleration means to the business. So not to the technical side, but to the line of business. Then, how can you deliver on what the business is expecting? And third point is, how can you deliver upon these expectations in a very time, but also cost-effective manner? So these are the three takeaways that we want for today. And we hope that the rest of the presentation and live demonstration will touch upon all these points. So what does digital acceleration mean from the business perspective? Obviously, digital acceleration is a term that gets ever increasing traction. It's bounced around quite a bit lately. But again, today we want to focus on what it means for the line of business. And since if I was part of any of your organizations, I would 100% be a business user, definitely be a business user. I'm not technical. Therefore, I'm going to take the liberty of using the we when I'm explaining these various points. So first and foremost, one of the worst things that can happen in a business process that you're trying to accelerate or digitalize is having bad data to analyze or on which to take action. So for this reason, we expect that automations are put in place to reduce or remove human errors. That second point, essentially, it's time is precious. Therefore, we want things in one click or as few interactions or clicks as possible. You know, we are. The third point, transferring the process know-how to the platform. So bear with me a little bit on this one. So as an organization evolves, I would need to be able to quickly enable or essentially teach my colleagues, my collaborators, my teammates on the business processes we have internally. So for this reason, it is essentially imperative that the know-how of a process resides within the platform and not with a handful of employees. Essentially, anyone that comes into my organization needs to be able to utilize and understand the business process without extensive training. Now, that fourth point, essentially, it comes down to that fact that an informed decision-making process usually entails getting information from different data sources. So as a business user, it's invaluable to me that I have information that's aggregated and contextualized for exactly when I need it. So an example, a practical example of this could be that I have a CSP-based forms that I use to issue offers. So what I would need is in real time, I'll need a validation against my ERP system to verify if the quantity of items I'm putting in my offer is actually available in stock in the warehouses. So I need to have this essentially relationship between what I'm doing and the data from the different sources so that my system or my process is less prone to errors. And on the fifth point, regarding, say, user interfaces, the business expectation is pretty simple. So, we're all getting used to pretty slick, intuitive interfaces in the services/applications we use in our personal life. So, but we're now also expecting that the business and enterprise applications evolve as well so that they provide these clean, modern UIs that we can get comfortable with without much training. And last but not least, we're impatient. If we have a requirement today, obviously we want to have a solution yesterday. So it is imperative that the needs that we present can be met quickly, efficiently, and exactly to the specifications that we have in mind. So how can these needs around digital acceleration be met in the context of Content Suite and Next-Gen ECM? Obviously, this is where our product comes in. This is where the module suite comes into play. And this is because the module suite is the most complete business solution enabler on the market. And just to break it down into three, let's say, bite-sized pieces, what it does, it helps you create tailored solutions that meet your specific business requirements. How it does that is that it enhances and extends the capabilities of the CSP platform. And the results at the end of the day is that you can deliver new use cases to the line of business. You can deliver these use cases in a matter of days, and you can also modify them as the business evolves. And we'll see, we'll touch upon these points a little bit later on in the presentation. So what kind of business solutions, business processes, business applications can be implemented, can be created with the module suite? Pretty much any sort of end-to-end processes or personalizations, regardless of how complex they might be or the industry that they need to satisfy. So on the screen right now, these are just some of the examples of business solutions that have been implemented utilizing the module suite on top of CSP. And I would like to now hand things off to Patrick for the live demo, in which we'll see an HR onboarding process, again, built with the module suite in action. So just to show you an example of what the end results could be for the business. Patrick, I'm going to stop sharing, if you can take control.
Thank you, Paulo, and thank you everybody for your time and your availability. So, as Paulo mentioned, so what I'm going to present today is quite a solution, quite a framework, and the best way to understand what Model Suite is capable of is definitely to see it in action. So the application we're going to go through has been developed basically last week from our team. And again, it will serve just as an example on what you can do with Model Suite and how can enable and extend a content suite in order to meet your requirements and satisfy your business needs. Keep in mind, again, since it's an example, that solution will be soon made available on our Showcase portal. So if you're already a customer, you should be able to download it and to play with it by yourself. The solution is based a case management solution, and so that was for us a great opportunity to demonstrate how a very efficient and very proficient case management solution can be built on top of Content Suite, leveraging again Model Suite. The solution we decided to create is basically a case management solution that works around human resources onboarding processes. So the idea is that we have an HR system. So say, for example, success factors, where we are managing all the process of hiring new talents. But when it comes to actually onboard them, there is a lot of paperwork that we have to carry on. There's a lot of different tasks that are not just related with HR that we need to be completed, and a lot of tasks that needs to be carried on in order to properly onboard new people. We decided to build this solution and integrate different systems into Content Suite, basing the solution over the Connected Workspace functionality. So Connected Workspace is a great tool, in our opinion, for building case management solution, because it allows you to create these workspaces for collaboration, where you have the possibility to define the team that is going to work on your case. They will be assigned different roles, and you can have different data structures to organize your content. And we combine it with the concept of task lists, because task lists are a quite flexible way for describing the process that you have to implement in order to properly manage a case. They are more flexible than workflows. They are as structured as workflow, but again, they are, in our opinion, great tools. So what you're going to see in this application is an application that leverages basically two things: so Connected Workspaces and task lists. But both of them, they have been significantly enhanced by Model Suite. The entry point of the application is this dashboard. So the application entirely runs on Smart View. Everything that you're going to see has been created with Model Suite in terms of view and interfaces we are going to interact with. So this interface is basically the main dashboard for our onboarding processes, where we can see the list of currently open onboarding processes for new employees, organized by their job grade. We can see a bunch of statistics on top of it, and we have the possibility to filter the current view utilizing one of our forms in the context, again, of the dashboard that we are looking at. We can look at the data in different ways. So we can look at the data as in this way, organized as a list grouped by their job grade. We can look at each case by their status. So basically the process that we are going to see is split it into 4 different phases. So we can see the different cases organized by each phase. And we can see the level of completeness of each one of the case in respect with the task list that you have to complete to move one case from one phase to the following one. And we can look at the data with some analytics. So we can have a look at a more, let me say, global picture to see what really happened about these processes, how we are doing with these processes, and we can define several KPI to keep the process under control, and eventually to optimize it whenever it's possible. So as said, the process is, again, related to onboarding new employees. So the first thing you should do is to register the new employee. As said, the idea is to have a leading application containing all the information related with the employee, and not to duplicate this information. But we also want to be able somehow to normalize the way this information is managed. As I mentioned, we are working with connected workspaces. So what we are going to do is to create a connected workspaces to manage and the information and content related to this new case, new onboarding process. The fact is that we're not going to utilize the standard interface, because through Model Suite, we can provide the user with a more productive interface that is basically the gateway towards a lot of automation that Model Suite is capable to put in place, that will reduce quite significantly the effort to properly set up the use case for the user, and will allow us also to present and collect the information from the user in the best way possible. So what I need to do in order to create a new case on this application is just click on this register new employee button. I'm presented with this simple form where I can pick up the basically job grade for the new employee that I'm going to register. So I can, for example, decide that I need to register a new director. And obviously this form is validated. So there's validation in place all over the place. So there is a validation, for example, also related with the amount here. So if I enter an amount that is too big, that is validated, etc. And as said, this form is specific to the job grade that I have selected. So what it means is that we can present different forms for different job grades. We can help the user in providing the right values and the right information, guiding him, at the same time normalize this information into the same object. So if I, for example, move to the associate, you see we have less information to collect, but still we can guide the user. And at the end, what the system is going to create in terms of connected workspaces will be the same environment. The difference is what we are going to do with the information that we are collecting. So in the case of the associate, we are going to create a bunch of folders, and we are going to create a bunch of documents automatically. In the case of the director, other documents and other folders will be created, for example. As I told you, so we do not want to replicate information. So we have synchronized this system with an external system that actually is the master for the employee data. So what I'm doing right now is to from this drop down, I'm fetching information from another system and automatically populating the form. And here, what I can do is also to, for example, to change the photo, changing it with mine. And this will be the image used for creating the connected workspace. So once ready, I'm going to hit the register employee button, which is going to actually create the connected workspaces. What is going to happen under the hood is that the model suite will be utilized to perform the actual creation of the workspace, but is also going to do other things. So first of all, for example, is going to look at the employee manager and is going to create a business relationship between the workspace of this new employee and of his manager. The second thing that the system is going to do is going to, based on a configuration that we'll see later, is going to create a task list for managing this case, and is going to assign the tasks, the different tasks to the different roles we have defined in the workspace template. And we are also going to define specific due date for each task. And at the end, obviously, is going to also take all this information and utilize it to um, fill in the category values associated to the connected workspaces. But let's do it. So what the system is doing, as said, is doing all this stuff behind the scenes. And once the creation is completed, it will be redirected in the connected workspaces for this new employee. So as you see here, the connected workspaces is still a let me say standard connected workspaces from Content Suite, but we have several elements here to look at. So first of all, the employee details, as mentioned, all the information that we have entered has been copied into the category. We have the relationship with the manager that we have selected. So this business relationship has been created automatically by the system. We have the team defined. So we have defined several roles. So we have the manager, and we have associated user that is acting as manager for this new employee as with the manager role for this workspace. And we have HR manager and consultant, HR consultant, which are basically two other roles that will be utilized in our task list. And we have been assigned to both these roles. And on the right, you see here, there is a piece of element in the user interface that is created with Model Suite and presents the actual task list of the different tasks we have to go through in order to, as said, properly manage this case. The perspective is also offers us the possibility to look at the documents and to have a view over all the documents and that have been created for this workspace. So a bunch of documents have been already created. So we have the code of conduct and we have the employee handbook. So I can look at them and I can utilize this very convenient tree view to inspect all the content of my connected workspace. So what I'm going to do is going back to my overview page where I'm going to start working on the different tasks. So as you see, tasks have been organized both in task groups and in milestones. So I can see, for example, that in order to complete this milestone, I have to complete this task. I can see the start of the task, the due date for the task, the role that the current assignee for this task and its priority. And if I have the rights, I will have the possibility to complete the task. So mark as completed, to put it in hold, or to actually work on the task. So work on the task, what does it mean? It means that with Model Suite, we can extend what a simple task can do. So in fact, we extended all the tasks that we have created in the task list so that we can perform more complex actions. So in this case, what we're going to do with this task is to collect a bunch of documents that are required to complete the employee dossier. So here is the list of the document that we are supposed to collect for this employee. And as you see, a bunch of them are actually marked as required. In order to collect them, the only thing I need to do is to drag and drop them in the right placeholder. And what the system is going to automatically do is, first of all, to upload them in the right position in the connected workspace, but most importantly, is going to categorize them, classify them, and apply our naming convention to each file. So I can see that this is the Homer Simpson identity card as mentioned. As said, so there are a bunch of required documents. If I try to complete the task without having provided all required documents, I will receive an error. And the important thing here is, again, we have basically moved the knowledge about the process into the system so that without much training, I can just understand what I'm supposed to do here and I'm guided in doing it. So let me upload all these documents. And now that I've uploaded all the required documents, I can just save it and the system is going to automatically move the task list to the next stage. So this task had been marked as completed. The task group has been closed because it was the only task in not completed, and the next task group has been open. As you see here, we have two tasks assigned to the HR consultant and one task assigned to HR manager. So let's start working on the first task here. So what we are going to do here is, again, there is another task, and this other task has been enhanced with other activities. So what we can do here is to select the level of confidentiality, so security clearance that we're going to assign to this user. And we are basically receiving explanation of what this security clearance means and which system or which information the user is going to have access to. We can define the different tools that we're going to provide to the employee, and we can define the list of software that we need this employee to receive and the benefits. And obviously, everything here is very related with the job grade that we have assigned to the user. So this is the default selection that the system is presenting me for the associate job grade. So how one are going to manage this process here? So as said, in order to complete this task, the HR specialist is not enough. We need to involve the IT specialist and the purchase specialist. So what is going to happen when I click on create credential is basically we are kicking off a workflow that is going to involve several users, and these users are going to work on the process in order to have the task completed. So let me see here if I waited too much. So create credentials. Okay, so you see here we have now the task that has been marked as in process, and if we look at the again at the task, now all the information is in read only because the workflow is already running, and we can look directly from here at the workflow that is running and in which status the workflow is. As a manager, we have received an email containing basically a direct link to the task that have been assigned to us. And so from here, we can review the different profiles that we want the user to be associated with for the different software that we have decided to assign him. So what I can do here is to very quickly pick up a kind of profile and sending on this step for the next user. And so what is going to happen here, if we follow the process from this interface, if I reopen the form, we're going to see that the process has been moved from one step to the following one. And so if we look at here, we will see. So I think I've started by mistake two workflows. So let me start it one again. So here is the workflow that we were working on, and that has been moved forward. So as the IT user this time, I should have received the second email that allows me to basically review the different profile requested. And since Model Suite is capable of integrating different systems, what we have done here is to enable the IT specialist to automatically perform this action on their corresponding service. So for a bunch of them, I can automatically trigger the creation of the proper profile and setup on the target system. And for some of them, I need to just confirm that I did it manually. And so I can send on also this workflow. So if we are going back to our employee here, was on this other interface, and we refresh this view, you will see that the task that we have we were working on has been marked automatically as completed. So at the end of the workflow, the task was automatically marked as completed. And if we look at the workflow, we can see that we went through the entire workflow, and now that's basically completed. So what has happened is that the user should have received a DocuSign step for signing a document that has been automatically produced. So we are basically sending our employee a recap of the different security level we are assigning to him, the different tools that we are going to provide him, and the software that is going to have access to. And what it's supposed to do is to sign it for acceptance. And the same will be done by his manager. So if I go here, I should have received another email, and this time acting as his manager, I will be able to sign it as well. Before to sign it as manager, I'd like to show you that as an HR consultant, what I can do is to look at this step and reviewing the status of the signing process directly from this interface. I can see here that we have sent this document, so the employee equipment documentation, to 2 users. And the first one we have sent it, the second one we are still waiting because has a different order. So from here we can follow the DocuSign workflow. And the same is for core signature. So the system is integrated with both the systems. So I can complete the task from here, and going back on my business workspace, where I should see the possibility of reviewing what has happened to this verifying sign. I can see now that the first one has been completed. In a short while, I should be able to see that the second one is also completed, and the system is going to mark automatically this task here as completed. The preparation for the welcome email has been assigned to the manager. So unfortunately here, I cannot modify it. So what I can do here is to assign myself to the manager role. So I can assign me to the missing role and save it and refresh the page. So now I should be able to work on this additional task. And in fact is this. So this, as mentioned, has been marked completed. So if we look again at the interface, we see that both the signature have been received. And now I can work on preparing the welcome email document. So to do that, we're going to work on a bunch of Word templates that will be created, and in which Model Suite is going to inject the information related with the employee in replacing some of the placeholders that have been put into the template. So I can select, for example, the welcome email template and say add this as a template. So what the system is going to do is to create a new document, storing it into the workspace, and automatically open the Office editor so that I can edit the file. So dear Simpson Homer, and this is the name of the manager, and here I can customize the message. So this is my message, and I can just save it and mark this as completed as well. As you'll see, the system is now moving automatically the task list to the next task group, because everything here has been completed. So the last thing we're going to do is to send all the information that we have collected so far. So if you go back in the outline, you will see that we have basically collected information for the employee. We have the documentation that we have sent to the employee itself. We have the signed version of the same thing here with the signature for the user and its manager, and we have some other welcome email document to share with him. So the last thing we're going to do is to send all this documentation to the user. And so obviously everything that has been produced is already marked as required. We can add some additional documents if we need it, and we can decide the way we want to share this information to the user, either working with CoreShare. So this is going to create and share all these documents with CoreShare to the employee, or I can send them just by email. So I click on share, and what is going to happen is that the user is going to receive an additional email in a short while. Here it is, with basically a predefined template email containing a welcome message, welcome on board message, and basically all the documentation that we have collected and that the user has signed during this process. The very nice thing of this application is that it is highly configurable. So as you've seen, we have defined this process, we have defined this task list, but everything that I've shown you can be configured and directly from a business user. So as part of the application, we have this configuration tab in which we have the possibility to, for each job grade, define the different tasks that will be part of the task list, how they are organized, how they are related to the different milestones. So I can see here the matching attributes. So this will allow Model Suite to decide which task list to pick based on the kind of connected workspaces you are going to create, the different milestones that we have defined to manage these processes, and the different tasks that will be part of this task list. So for example, for the document preparation, we can have a task or a task group for, and we can assign it a name, we can assign it a related milestone, we can enhance the task with the additional form to collect more information and provide automation behind the scenes. We can define who is going to be the assignee based on the roles that we have defined in the connected workspace. We can define duration, priority, and we can provide obviously instructions. So it's super easy to manage different task lists for the different roles. In fact, if we go back to the director task list, you will see that director has quite a different task list. So as you see here, we also have a task for managing stock options and company car reservation, etc., etc. So as the business evolves, I can go in the configuration, I can review my task list, I can create a new task group, or even milestone, and I can tune the way the process is managed. As you've seen, the task enhanced with the forms allows us to do various things, providing a lot of automation behind the scenes, simplifying the way the user interacts with the content, with the way organize the content and collects the information. And this also should give you an idea of how easy would be to adapt this specific application to other case management solution. Because again, everything that is you see here, we have created for this onboard process, but again, changing the content of the task list, changing what each task is doing, and changing the information that you are collecting and displayed. This can be easily adapted to any other business case management use case. Keep in mind that, again, this is just an example. We built it in something like a week. So it was an easy application to build, and that was possible definitely thanks to the capabilities of Model Suite. And with that, I have completed our demonstration journey. So I will return the control to Paolo.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I'm going to start sharing my screen again. Just 1 second. Can you confirm, Patrick, that you're seeing my screen? Or someone in the panelist?
Nope, I cannot see your screen.
Just 1 second.
Now
you should be able to, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So thank you, Patrick, for that awesome demo. As you know, what we really saw was essentially how the module suite can satisfy those expectations. So those digital acceleration expectations we talked about before. But to sum it up, to go into a bit more detail on a specific use case example or perspective, so we can sum it up as robust forms can act as that guided interface for any of your process, like we just saw, and they can also be the catalyst for any process automation. An extremely large set of APIs, I believe at the moment they're a little bit over 5,000, allow you to implement those custom automations that we also saw in the demonstration, thereby also improving the end user's productivity. By enhancing the standard workflow capabilities, you can design them around your specific process and not the other way around. And custom integrations with leading applications, or maybe also legacy or custom applications, essentially provide your users with the data they need to make decisions. In this case, we saw it when we saw an integration with DocuSign. It's not really providing data to make decisions, but it is extending the reach of your applications onto other services and platforms. We definitely saw how the personalization of the UI, in this case we saw it in the smart UI, but we can also do it on the classic UI, can really provide a easy to use, frictionless overall user experience. And also, we didn't really see it, but we will talk about it. Essentially, that our enabling technology, the module suite, really allows you to develop and deliver these business solutions in a matter of days. So as Patrick mentioned, what you saw was created in 1 week. I can let you imagine what it would take with, say, normal custom development. So obviously this sort of speed, this sort of flexibility to meet requirements, it definitely became invaluable to our customer base or to our community base during the unfortunate initial lockdowns. Obviously, the need to digitalize and roll out processes quickly was at the top of everyone's list in order to keep essentially the business going and not having to stop. So we touched upon this a little bit briefly, but I want to expand upon that the last point. So why is the module suite an enabler and an accelerator? And this is because the module suite really provides a low coding technology. So this allows you to implement your customizations or even entire applications without writing code. But I think more importantly is that you're never starting from scratch. And this is thanks to the tools and technology that are provided with the module suite. Obviously, this leads to very high efficiency in creating tailored business solutions. In fact, what our customer base tells us is that when they started leveraging the module suite, they were able to reduce their effort, or better yet, their time and effort by up to 80%. To translate that into a real life example, if we were to implement a smart view menu, custom development, that would usually take 5 days. With the module suite, it takes literally 5 minutes. So in that case, it's a little bit over than 80% reduction. Now, before moving into the Q&A session, I just essentially want to break down and summarize what the module suite at the end of the day is all about. So what is the UVP of the module suite? And we can break it down into essentially 5 points. First and foremost is module suite is all about maximizing your EIM investment. So in other words, what this means is that you're able to do more with less effort and deliver awesome results to the line of business at the end of the day. The second point, and we touched upon this quite extensively today, is about providing tailored solutions to your line of business, thereby also increasing the end user satisfaction and adoption, essentially delivering what they need. Thanks to that low coding approach, you can create a solution really in a fraction of the time. But it's also, better yet, I also want to point out that thanks to the technology that we provide, we can also adopt a truly agile development methodology for CSP projects, which might not be the case with custom development. I didn't touch upon this at the beginning, but one thing that is key to point out, Module Suite is a fully integrated add-on solution. So it really has a zero footprint, meaning we keep things lean and we don't add any additional complexity to your IT landscape. And last but not least, is we always say that Module Suite is a solution whose value grows over time. And this is because as a product, it's constantly evolving. We're always releasing new updates, new features, etc., on a quarterly basis. But also the tools that are provided with the Module Suite enable you to start projects. You're never starting projects from scratch. And also anything that you build with the Module Suite enjoys a very seamless upgrade path as you transition through the various versions of CSP. So, this is just a nice ending of what the Module Suite is all about. So encompassing its real value to both the business and the technical side. So for the Q&A, I would like to leave this slide up just to showcase some of the other features, capabilities that the Module Suite has. Really today we kind of touched the tip of the iceberg. We're more than happy to have a one-on-one session to explore the Module Suite or your specific business case a little bit more in depth. So since I'm sharing my screen, I'm not able to see the Q&A panel. If Patrick, you could take a look at that and see if there's any questions.
No questions so far.
Okay. Well then, if there aren't any other questions, like I mentioned, we are more than happy to arrange a one-on-one session or even just a quick Q&A call to discuss a little bit more in depth what you saw was of interest or how you think the Module Suite could be of help to you. So yeah, on that note,
if you think of any questions or there's some questions that are more specific to your circumstances and therefore want to have a follow-up conversation, let us know for sure. And that's something we can certainly host, because I know sometimes there may be specific questions, but they're relative to your environment that maybe we don't want to necessarily share with others, which is understandable. So certainly feel free to reach out to us to help facilitate further conversation or discussion.
And always the best questions, they always come up, probably this afternoon when you're doing something else and something, pops into your mind when you were thinking about the session this morning. Okay. So, Ian, thank you very much for, arranging this. Thank you everyone for attending. We hope to be speaking soon. Thanks, everyone, and have a good afternoon, or good morning and a good afternoon.
Morning, good day, just stay safe. All right, have a great day, folks.